All right, in this problem, we are asked to solve the logarithmic equation, the natural log of x squared minus 2 equals the natural log of 23. I'm actually going to work this in a few different ways. The first way I'm going to work this is using what's called the one-to-one property. The one-to-one property is pretty straightforward. What it says is this. If you have this equation and the natural log of this expression is equal to the natural log of this number, well, if they're truly equal, then this expression must be equal to this number, because we're taking the natural log of something and getting it equal to the natural log of something else. So all those things must be the same thing. So really all the one-to-one property says is if they're actually equal, we can ignore, for lack of a better expression, ignore the natural logs. So I'm just going to write x squared minus 2 equals 23. We will add our 2 to each side. We will take the square root. Now when you take the square root, don't forget there is a plus and a minus. So we've got the plus or minus 5 is the solution. That's one way to look at the problem. Quite frankly, it's probably the easiest way to look at the problem. But I found that students tend to get confused with logarithms mostly because they think there's only one way to solve a problem. And that's just most of the time not true, especially when you're solving equations. So I'm going to work at a couple more ways just to show you that one person's idea for how to solve this and another person's idea might not be the same idea, but they should get the same answer. So here's a different way to solve the same exact problem. I'm going to use the inverse property. The inverse property says this, that if you take the number e raised to the natural log of x, that you'll end up with just what this expression was, whatever the x is, whatever it can be a whole expression, it doesn't have to be just a variable. You'll end up with just that. So I'm going to use that idea with the inverse property. I'm going to do what's called exponentiate. I'm going to exponentiate both the left and the right sides, which just means I'm going to take this equation right here and I'm going to go e raised to my left side equals e raised to my right side. I'm going to make what was there the exponents of e. I'm going to exponentiate. As long as I do it to both sides, it's algebra. As long as I do it to both sides, it's fine. Now, since e raised to this leaves me with just what this said, what was up there, that's what it is. So that means this is going to cancel out and leave me an x squared minus 2. This is going to cancel out. I'll just show that I'm canceling them and leave me a 23. Which at this point you'll notice gets me the exact same thing as what I ended up with there. So I would add 2, I would take my square root, and once again I get x equals plus or minus 5. Like I said, I'm going to get the same result, just going about it a different way. Here's a third way. This is actually very close to the last one. I'm going to use, again, the inverse property, but maybe I want to look at it this way. Maybe a student is trying this, and maybe the first thing they do is they go ahead and they grab their calculator and get that, because you can get that off your calculator as a decimal. So let me show you that that will work as well. So person grabs their calculator, they take the natural log of 23, they're going to get some decimal. I went out quite a ways because eventually you'll see I'm going to use that e, I'm going to exponentiate, and I need this to go out quite a ways in order to get my 23. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to get a 23. So I exponentiate again. Now here's a place where sometimes people would make a mistake. They know that e will cancel out the natural log on the left side, and they maybe just do that and go ahead and cancel them and say x squared minus 2 is equal to, and then just this. It is algebra. If you do something to one side, you have to do it to the other. So I had to exponentiate the right side. But when I do this, I'm just going to end up with that 23 all over again. And notice we're again right back to where we were with the second and the first ones. And we know the answer is going to be x equals plus or minus 5.